Welcome to Industry Insights with Route Consultant, your front row seat to the fast-moving world of logistics and beyond. Each week, we bring you game-changing insights, real-world strategies, and fresh perspectives to fuel smarter investments and build stronger businesses. Join us as we sit down with expert guests to explore emerging trends and pressing topics across a wide range of industries. This is Industry Insights. All right, Alex, it is a pleasure to have you back. And this time, when we think about the FedEx business, there's two main assets that I really think about. There's the people and the trucks. Right. Let's talk about the trucks this time, but not buying them. We'll talk about that at some other time. Really, I want to focus on what happens when your trucks break. So when you think about maintenance, from an overarching strategy, how do you think about truck maintenance and kind of how you plan for it in your business?
Sure. Pleasure to be back. I think the first thing I always want to do is prevent my trucks from breaking down.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have trucks breaking down in the middle of nowhere, that's a great day.
Yeah.
So the whole goal, I think, to start off with is to have a strong preventative maintenance schedule.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter who you use or what truck you buy, whether it's Freightliner or Volvo or Kenworth or Mack or International, get with the OEM. Get with that dealer and find out what is the recommended maintenance schedule for your vehicles. Okay. And then determine based off what you're kind of running. Are you heavy duty? Are you medium duty? Are you light duty? Should you be basing it on miles or should you be basing it on hours? So if you're doing spots, I would probably recommend you're basing your preventive maintenance schedule off of hours. Okay. If you're doing if you're running over the road, you should be doing it over miles.
And does the OEM, does it give you a schedule based on hours or miles?
Yes,
okay.
It gives you both.
Okay.
I run, I think I have 36 trucks. I have 33 Freightliners. It's not because I have a preference from Freightliner, but by and large, it's because I have a really good relationship with my Freightliner dealer. In one of my locations, the closest dealer within 20 miles is a Freightliner dealership. So because I only can use Freightliner in that location, I've decided to make my entire operation Freightliner. That being said, plenty of contractors use the other brands. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it goes back down to where do you have the strongest relationship with? Yeah. And we'll go by, that's either to buy or acquire vehicles or to maintain them. Okay. And you have to make the decision on one or the other. Usually they connect. Yeah. So like I have a really strong relationship with Vida Freightliner in Cincinnati because or Walton, Kentucky, because that's where I buy my trucks and they provide the majority of my service. And I get a price discount on my service because I buy so many trucks for them. Okay. But yeah, so the preventative maintenance schedule is important. So, and the things that you should be on your preventative maintenance schedule are not just oil changes. Okay. Okay. Just like you have your car, you go out and you do an oil change, you change your cabin air filter, you change your belts, you do tire rotations. All those things should be on your preventative maintenance schedule. So for example, I do an oil change every 50,000 miles. The first 100,000 miles I drive a truck, I do an overhead adjustment. And then every 250,000 miles after that, I do an overhead adjustment. I do a differential flush, a transmission flush. I do a power steering fluid flush and a power steering filter change. I do belts on a set interval, both my serpentine belt and my accessory belt. My DPF pump filter, so my DEF pump filter, I change that out on a certain schedule. Okay. I rotate my drive tires. Some people rotate their steer tires. I don't, but some people do. So all those things are done on a set schedule.
And are you, how are you, the schedule, but how are you tracking when things need to be done?
So you can use, there's a number of different third-party software providers that can do it. When I first got into business, I actually tracked it on Excel. Yeah. So I would take the miles every week that I generate from my IVMRs, and I would put them into there. And then as I had a greater than or less than function, it would color code for me. Eventually I said, I got too many trucks and became too onerous. And then there are third-party vendors you can use, My Ground Force, Forward Arrow, Truck Spy, Probably Whip Around does the same thing.
Yeah.
Safety Forward. I mean, all these different third-party vendors can do this kind of stuff for you. So I get notifications on a weekly basis when my vehicles need to do certain maintenance. I communicate it to my managers. They take the vehicle in. They get the maintenance done. So that's the first.
You said the schedule. Your managers do it. Can they do all of those preventative maintenance things?
So, no, the managers can't do it. I mean, they just
Yeah.
arrange for our mechanics.
Okay.
Now, they're not employees, but are who we decide to use. So in certain locations or in certain work, we only take into the dealership. Certain work will go to other people. Like we have a preference to use Michelin tires in my business. So we have contracted with a Michelin tire provider in all my locations to do our Michelin tires.
Yeah.
Depending on the location, we'll do oil changes either at a TA or a Love's, or sometimes we go back to the dealership for the oil changes. Overhead adjustment is typically something we do at the dealerships. Differential transmission flush will take to any kind of mechanic.
Is there anything that you can do at the terminal, or does it all have to be?
You can do, depending on the terminal, and what vendors are available in the area, you can do some of this work on site.
Okay.
You can do a PM or an oil change in a yard if they have drop pans and they'll collect all the oil. They can definitely do tire rotation as long as they dispose of the tires. You can't leave the tires there. But like an overhead adjustment, what they're actually doing there is they're actually cranking the bolts down on the and bring them back to spec on the engine. And so you wanted to actually do that in a facility where they can actually measure the torque that they're putting on the bolts.
Yeah.
Differential and a transmission flush, because they're the amount of fluids that are coming out, you probably want to do that in a shop that can collect that much.
Most terminals probably won't be super happy about that.
Serpentine belts, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
DPF pump filter, not a big deal.
Okay.
Power steering filter and the flush is not, and you can do that in a yard. So there's some things you can do in the yard, and there are third-party vendors. So like if you don't want to use like an OEM dealership, you can get either local providers or third-party like national fleet service providers who might come into the yard. So Clark Power Services, Dickinson Fleet Services, Cox Automotive, those are all third-party fleet service providers who not only will do work on the yard for you, but they also have a network across the country or region where they might be able to do work for you if you have a breakdown on the road.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different ways to solve the problem. And then some contractors have grown big enough or they're dense enough where they have enough tractors in a certain location where they decide to set up a new entity, a new co, that is their own maintenance provider. And don't ever, I will say this, you can do whatever you want with your business. I would highly recommend not putting a maintenance company in your business. Actually have it as a separate company that charges or invoices your business for the work. You don't want to have that liability tied together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
outside of preventative maintenance, what are the other components of your overall strategy?
Then the biggest issue, obviously as your drivers do their pre-trip and post-trip inspections, you're going to find and identify maintenance faults. So you have to figure out how you're going to repair those. And then you have issues that occur when you're on the road. Trucks break down. It's just natural.
Yeah.
You're driving a vehicle, how many miles do you have on your own?
40,000.
40,000. I don't think I have a truck right now in my fleet under 100,000 miles. And that's including 3 brand new trucks I bought this year.
Yeah.
So, and I have 2 vehicles with over 1 million miles. I dropped brand new engines in them at 850, and I plan to run them to 1.25 million. So,
yeah,
trucks
it's
break
just
down.
different. Yeah, different scales entirely.
So, so you have to do one thing. You need to have a strong pre-trip and post-trip inspection culture in your business. I'm constantly harping on my drivers. There are a lot of different ways to do it, but there's a lot of different things you can do. There's companies like Forward Arrow or My Ground Force or Whip Around that you can upload an app on your phone that requires your drivers to take pictures of the different pre-trip inspection points and then uploads that into the cloud, and then you get that information, and then you can do preventative maintenance based off of that. There are other ways. I've heard of contractors who will stick a $25 or $50 gift card into different tractors on a monthly basis to see who can identify and find a pre-trip inspection point. And then there's just guys who just have their managers on site or have their managers do the pre-trip inspections for all the tractors.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things you can do. But it starts with the pre-trip inspection. Having a strong pre-trip inspection culture will help you catch the accidents, or not the accidents, sorry, the mechanical issues before you actually get on the road. And if you catch a mechanical issue while it's in the yard, it's a lot cheaper than catching it in the middle of nowhere where you don't have a relationship with that mechanic and where you're having to tow that vehicle to some random shop where they're going to do some work on your vehicle.
Yeah, because either you've got a spare that you can put in, or if you don't, you can just decline the run for the day if it's something that you can't go out. But once you're out, it's a different story.
So once you get out, then you have to make a decision what you're going to do. Yeah. Can you get to the closest TA or Loves? Is it work that you trust that a TA or Loves can do? Or do you need to get it to a dealership? Or do you have a mechanical service that you think that can do the repairs?
Yeah.
And then how are you getting those mechanics? How are you contacting them? Are you using FleetNet, which is the FedEx approved third-party maintenance coordinator provider? Just understand that every single time you have a breakdown, whether it's a trailer breakdown or a tractor breakdown, even if you're going to do the repairs yourself, you are supposed to notify FleetNet, because FleetNet will then notify FedEx. And if you have a trailer issue, if you need to replace a trailer tire, if you have lights out, if you have brake lights, if you have brakes, airlines, or anything like that, FleetNet needs to be notified because they're the only ones who are authorized to arrange repairs on that trailer. Now, FleetNet does not actually have any mechanics that work for it. They arrange with third-party vendors to come out and repair those vehicles. But they can also arrange it to have vehicles come out and fix your tractor, or tow your tractor and or tow your trailer.
Okay. What do you tend to
depending on the location and where we are, I will try to repair the vehicle on site if it's something simple. If it's not, then I'll tow the vehicle and the trailers usually to the closest FedEx facility. And usually there's a mechanic close to the FedEx facility, especially since I'm running hubs mostly. I don't do a lot or running mainline, so I'm going from hub to hub. There's usually, and I'm on major highways, there's usually a Freightliner dealership near me. Yeah. But there's times like yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I had a breakdown at a TA. I was doing a bump, and when my driver was doing a pre-trip inspection of their new set that they had just connected to, they identified that they had a leak coming from their DPF tank. That was in and of itself a situation I generally don't like to try to have that TA do the work on the repairs there. I'd rather have it go to a dealership, but I couldn't drive the vehicle. It was already at a TA, so I had the TA do the work. It took them 20 hours to do the repair, which was frustrating, but they got the repairs done. I lost a load, but I notified FedEx, and FedEx recovered the load, so I didn't have a service failure. And then I got the vehicle repaired and had to put the driver up in a hotel for the night, and here we are.
Yeah, it's another day. Yeah, just as long as you've got a plan or a way to handle it, and I think that's the name of the game when it comes to maintenance.
That's something that we've worked really hard with in my company. Like I really try to work my managers to understand. Okay, don't just come to me with a problem. Don't just tell me that, hey, tractor 295550 broke down. Okay, 295550 broke down. Here's the fault with it. And this is the action I am taking to get this vehicle back on the road. Yeah. We think this is a quick fix. This was a medium fix. This is a long fix. This is how we're repairing the vehicle. This is where the vehicle is going to be located. This is what I've told FedEx. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, we'll wait you out. Sometimes they're like, we're going to rescue those trailers. It all depends on when those trailers need to get to the location. Yeah. But I always tell my managers to come to me with a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And as much of that as you can ingrain in your culture, the better off you'll be. And, it's why having a manager can add so much value, as they are your front line of defense in a lot of ways. Sometimes they can be the driver, they can be the mechanic if you need it, or, there's all kinds of ways that they can help.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to be the guy getting up at 2:30 in the morning trying to figure out,
Yeah, because if there's a breakdown, it's always at 2 a.m., right? Yeah. It's never going to be at
it's always at 2 a.m. in like the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. You're 30 miles away from the closest stop, and it's a blizzard. And, you have no idea where, and you're trying to call a mechanic who's awake and
Yeah.
open in the middle of the night. No, I mean, it's always the terrible.
It's always the worst one. Yeah.
Luckily, knock on wood, I've never broken down. Like it would stress me out to no ends if I was on I-70 or I-80 and like I had just cleared like the Eisenhower Pass or the whatever the big pass is in I-80, and I'm on the other side of the mountains, and there's this stretch of road between, say, Denver and Salt Lake on I-70. Like once you get into the mountains, there's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
You have the ski resorts, but other than that, there's not a lot. Luckily, I've never broken down in that area, but that would stress me out.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
Now, I think the other way that people solve for maintenance is they'll go after a full service lease.
Yes.
So what does that look like? And have you experimented with those at all?
Yeah. So I have, I actually own a couple leases with both REL and with Ryder. I prefer to own my vehicles, but I did try out the Ryder lease 4 years ago and they've worked out okay. And then 2 years ago, I tried out the REL lease, and I actually like the REL lease program a little bit better than the Ryder program. It's just what I prefer. Yeah. But they're both good programs. The way the Ryder works is it's a full service lease. You can either get new vehicles or slightly used vehicles. You have a mileage cap on them. And then they charge you a maintenance fee based off of the number of miles they drive, and then they're required to repair all your vehicles. Yep. Based off of that fee. Now, if you have tire, one thing that's different is tires on that. Like if you have tires that go bad more frequently than you're expecting, then you can get charged with more fees. But in general, they cover everything for whatever they expect your vehicles to. Yeah. And for example, like I just had a vehicle go down with a one box, and they had to replace the one box on it. Yeah. So it's typically you have a base rate, like say you have $1,000 a month, and then you have a per mileage variable rate to cover any differences, and then you have a mileage cap, like your vehicles can't do over a certain number of miles per year, otherwise you get penalty. Then you have REL, which is slightly different. You pay a weekly lease rate, but both are considered full service leases. Whereas with Ryder, you have to go back to a Ryder facility. REL doesn't have any facilities, so they have contracted maintenance providers. Okay. Or you can recommend maintenance providers to them that they will pay. So they have a component of the lease covers that maintenance, and they will do those repairs for you. Got it. The one thing, so Ryder doesn't kind of communicate to you what their preventative maintenance schedule is. They kind of just call you up on a weekly or monthly basis. Hey, you need to bring your vehicle in for this. REL publishes and communicates to you that we expect you to do preventative maintenance on this schedule. And it's pretty similar to the OEM schedule. Yeah. Both programs, are great. They're both generally operating leases, not capital leases. So you should talk to an accountant to understand the difference there. But you don't have to do as much maintenance there. Because they're arranging for it, they're paying for it. It's captured generally in your lease. Yeah. And the nice thing about them is that if you have a mechanical breakdown on the road, Ryder and or REL will arrange to get your vehicle towed and repaired. Now, Ryder will provide you a lot of times with a replacement vehicle. That's not a good thing because your replacement vehicle doesn't have an ELD in it, doesn't have a camera in it, doesn't have pinto hooks or safety chains on it or D-rings. So it doesn't really do you a whole lot of good in the FedEx universe because you can't operate a vehicle without an ELD. It's
a truck with wheels, but you can't actually use it.
Yeah.
But has Ryder technically fulfilled their obligation to give you a replacement when they,
So what I did learn from that experience that you can actually negotiate with them where you can get a lower fee where they don't guarantee a replacement vehicle.
Got it. Because it doesn't do you any good anyway. Yeah. So. Yeah, and I think the leasing model has pros and cons. I think there's predictability. It really does convert your maintenance expense for the most part to a set monthly fee.
I think where it makes the most sense, honestly, is when you're running teams. Okay, because when you're running solos, your vehicles are generally coming back every night. Yeah. And so it's much easier for you to develop the relationships and have those relationships and manage the maintenance on that vehicle when it's coming back home every night. You can find a local mechanic you can even pay him to do pre-trip inspections for you, but you can find somebody to take care of that vehicle and baby it on day in and day out basis. Where it really gets advantageous is like you're driving across I-90, you're 300 miles outside of Billings, Montana. So if you think about I-90, you're Billings, Montana, and then what is it? Middle of nowhere, North Dakota.
Yeah.
Whatever. What's
I don't know
Fargo?
the next city. Maybe.
So it's like Fargo to Billings. There's nothing. So leave it to REL to figure out, or leave it to Ryder to figure out how they're going to service that vehicle or repair it.
Yeah, because when you're on teams, you basically have to figure out a mechanic and towing location for everywhere between point A and point B, and so it's just really hard to do.
It's one of the reasons why, for me, when I run on my teams, I only use vehicles that are still under warranty.
Right.
And so it's advantageous. Like I pay the extra amount of money. I think it's like $7,500 over the life of my 5-year, 600,000 mile warranty, where Freightliner will cover the cost of all tows.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about Freightliner is that they have the largest dealership network in the country. And so there's generally a Freightliner, give or take about 100 to 150 miles of every single spot in the United States.
Got it.
Every single highway.
Yeah. Yeah, which is for the most part everywhere you would be driving over the road.
That's one of the reasons why I like Freightliner. So if I happen to be in Tucumcari, New Mexico, there's within 150 miles there's a Freightliner, and I know I can get my vehicle towed by Freightliner to that location and get it repaired. Yeah. And not only will they tow my vehicle, they'll tow my trailers with it.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
It means I'm still progressing the load. And so I get paid for those miles. So whether or not you actually drive the vehicle or you tow the trailers to a location, you're still progressing that load. And so you're still getting compensated for it.
Got it. So as long as the load ultimately makes it there within the window?
Well, no. So like say if I have a breakdown in between Amarillo and Albuquerque, New Mexico, okay? There's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I need to get those loads to Rialto, California. So I decide to progress. So I decide to go to the Freightliner dealership in Albuquerque. If I tow my tractor and those trailers to Albuquerque and then FedEx rescues them because my truck needs to be in the shop for a day or two.
Yeah.
It needs whatever.
Yeah.
Then, I've progressed the trailer from wherever I broke down to Albuquerque. FedEx is going to compensate me. So they're going to defray the cost of that tow. Okay.
Gotcha.
Or reimburse me for the tow because Freightliner's already agreed to pay for it anyways.
Got it.
And for most wreckers, they don't care. It's no difference in price
for
them to tow one vehicle or to tow a vehicle and two sets of trailers.
Yeah.
Or a set of trailers.
Yeah. So I think ultimately, we can talk about all the strategies and backup plans you can have for when you're on the road. But I think the most important part is what you talked about first, doing everything possible to track and prepare and make sure that there are as few possible incidents before your truck ever gets on the road. That preventative maintenance schedule and staying on top of it.
You're going to have a breakdown. What you don't want is you don't want the catastrophic breakdowns on the road. You don't want to blow a head gasket. You don't want to throw a cylinder. You don't want to have an input or output diff seal go out. So doing the preventive maintenance on those kind of things is going to save you a good buck. You don't want to have a DPF system go out.
Yeah.
So that's important. Like the minor stuff, you're going to lose a belt.
Yeah.
You're going to have an airline blow. You're going to lose your airbags. You're going to get water in your air tanks. That happens.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. It's usually a couple hour fix and you're back on the road. What you don't want, like I said, is like that day, that's something that causes your truck to be in the shop for multiple days on end.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like it's the easiest part to just do the preventative maintenance, but there's plenty of people that don't look at they don't either haven't ever looked up a schedule or are just tracking it in their heads. I know lots of old school contractors that are just like, I know about when I should, but it's so simple to, even if it's just an Excel spreadsheet, like you said, when you started, or any of the number of vendors that provide really easy solutions to track everything.
You definitely should. Talk to your OEM, find if you're buying from Volvo or Freightliner or International or whoever, get with them, talk to your salesperson, say, hey, I need the preventative maintenance schedule for a heavy duty truck or for a light duty truck or a medium duty truck, however many miles you are projecting to drive on a weekly, monthly, annual basis. And the OEMs will provide you with that schedule and then just adhere to it. And the other thing that's really, really important is develop that culture on top of the safety culture, develop that pre-trip and post-trip inspection culture.
Yeah.
Because that will save you so much time. And it's so much important. It's so important. It also save you, it develops a culture where your drivers know that you care about the vehicles. And so then they'll take more pride in the vehicles. They'll keep it clean. Like one of the things that we do that my drivers really appreciate is I pay for 2 truck washes a month.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So my drivers, when they're driving down the road, know they can go to a Blue Beacon. It's a national truck wash chain, and it only works for semis.
Yeah.
They know they can go in and they can take their vehicles in. And I do about 70 truck washes a month, and my drivers really appreciate it. And my trucks look clean on the road, but more importantly, because they know the exterior looks clean, they keep the interior clean. And if they keep the interior clean, that means they're safer on the road because they have less debris inside the vehicle. So you don't have like a piss bottle or a bag like drive in the driver's well, obstructing them hitting the brakes or hitting the accelerator.
And even just making sure the windshields are clean and clear at all times. Yeah. Ultimately, maintenance and preventative maintenance, it's always going to be incredibly important, in particular in line haul, because if your trucks aren't running, you get no money.
Yeah,
so
very true.
Perfect. All right. Well, Alex, I appreciate you talking through that and kind of walking us through what a maintenance strategy looks like in this space.
Oh, my pleasure.
Awesome.